getting confused, and you don't remember who you're talking to. Concentration slips away because your baby is so far away. And there's a rose with a fisted glove, and the eagle flies with the dove. And if it can't be the one you love, honey, love the one you with. 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 Don't be angry. Don't be sad. Just sit there crying for the good times you had. There's a girl right next to you, and she's just waiting for something to do. And there's a rose with a fisted glove, and the eagle flies with the dove. It can't be the one you love, honey, love the one you will. 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 Turn your heartache right into joy. She's the girl, good boy. Get it together, make it nice. You won't need more advice. And there's a rose with a fisted glove, and the eagle flies with the dove. If it can't be the one you love, honey, love the one you will. Love the one you will. Love the one you will. Love the one you will.
Hey guys, we're back again in Encore Chat, and I'm here talking to Mike Erianne, who plays, he does a lot of different things. He plays in a band called Mr. Lovejoy. He does weddings, they do private parties, they do gigs, you know, in bars, they do everything. So who's ever watching this, if you guys ever need anybody, please go to their website, check it out, and you'll see the advertisements on it, and you know, give them a listen, okay? And Mike, I want to thank you so much for coming tonight.
No problem.
And I just had some questions for you, my man.
Sure.
If I just want to find out is, how long have you been playing?
Long time.
Okay.
At least 4 years.
Yeah, times.
It feels like I started playing guitar in first grade.
Okay.
And my guitar teacher at the time told me that I would never be a guitarist and I should give it up. Which
kidding.
I did.
Wow.
My parents said, hey, your guitar teacher says you're no good. So I stopped playing, and then I started playing again in 6th grade. So I've been playing since 6th grade. So
Wow.
30-something years.
Wow. No kidding. Now, do you think it was just a combination between you and that teacher that just didn't hit it? Or do you think he was lazy?
I think it was a combination of you know, possibly his teaching style didn't really work for me in first grade. Also, I didn't practice. I didn't do all the things that you really need
to do,
especially when you're first meeting an instrument. I mean, you first start dating a girl, you spend a lot of time with her. You get to know her. You get to do the same thing with the instrument. You have to really get to know it.
Yeah, to do what you're doing, absolutely, man. And the thing I wanted to find out to you is how important do you think, Mike, in your mind, you know, in your personal feeling, as studying, taking lessons, just in general?
I think it's incredibly important.
Okay.
For a couple of reasons. I mean, number one, to really play guitar, you really need to know what's going on, and not just necessarily what's going on with you. You need to know what's the bass playing. You know, what's the kick pattern. You need to know kind of everything musically that's happening around you. And I think studying is definitely your first foray into that. You start understanding more intimately what's going on with you and your instrument. Mm-hmm. And it helps you to understand also what's going on harmonically in an entire piece of music. So then you start understanding, like, oh, this guy's holding down the third. You know, this guy is, I need him for the backbeat. There's so many elements that I think the more you know, the more informed you are, the more educated you are. It just makes it easier to put the pieces together.
Yeah, it helps you. Yeah, it helps you to be better too in your writing. Like you do original material too, right? And your stuff like that. And I guess the lessons definitely. I mean, they help you to expand on your writing capability.
Plus, the other thing that lessons do is it gives you a musical vocabulary. It's much easier if you're in a group in a room with a group of guys and you're working on something for you to say, "Hey, that's a triplet." Rather than having to sing a part or having to, it just gives you, it just gives you a better way to communicate.
How do you feel with the internet today and YouTube, and what's the pluses, and is there any minuses to it? Like if you were ever, not that you would, would you think? I mean,
the only minus that I could ever think of is the fact that today, it's easy. It's a one source solution. A lot of kids will just go to that, and I think that that's just a piece of the puzzle. It's an awesome tool to have at your disposal, to learn songs, to see. I still go on. I'm like, hey, I love Brad Paisley's guitar sound. What's he using? And I'll go on YouTube and I'll try to find a rig rundown for him.
Gotcha.
I think that they're awesome tools, but they need to be used in conjunction with something bigger. Instruction, your own studying. If you there's books out there. There's there's tons of resources that kids should use.
So it's all plus. It's all good with the whole thing. Now, what would you feel? How do you? We were talking before about this, and it's good. You remember growing up, and you went to the small shops and hung out and talked and stuff like that. What's your take, or how do you feel that the music industry itself? Do you feel it's shrinking? Do you feel like it's not going in the right direction, or do you? I know it's kind of a crazy question, but I
don't know if it's not going in the right direction. I mean, I feel like it was nice when I was a kid and first learned how to play. Go to your local music store. You're exposed to all guys who all lived 1-2 towns over or in your town. You always kind of had your pulse on. I mean, I think the world was a lot smaller back then because there was no internet. There was nothing.
That's true. Yeah.
That you only knew what you could read in a magazine or read in a newspaper. More realistically, which newspapers were all local. So you look at your local, the art section in your local paper, and you only see events that are happening in your county. So I think that. And I kind of forgot what the question was, but
that's okay. But roll with it, baby, roll with it.
I think that there's plus and minuses to that as well. Back then it was great because you kind of there was always kind of a homegrown sense to everything. You kind of were dealing with kids in your local area. You had a local place that you knew. Like I knew I could in the middle of the summer. I knew I could swing by, and the music store in my town was called the Music Emporium. It closed 25 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But I knew that I could go there, and there would be somebody hanging out that I could talk to. There would be somebody, there was somebody in, one of the lesson rooms where there was no lessons going on, and sometimes you jam. You'd end up in an impromptu jam with somebody. Yeah. People don't do that anymore. Kids don't do that anymore.
I agree, and
they should because it's definitely a great. I know my guitar teacher at the time, when I was in like 6th grade, he would have once every 2-3 months. He'd have all of his students over, and he would do it like a seminar. And it was great because he had guitar and bass students. So you'd meet every other guy. You'd see every other guy's gear. You'd, see the music they're into. It's cool when you meet somebody who, hey man, this kid's kind of the same as me. He's been playing for the same amount of time, into totally different music, has a totally different style of playing because of what he's into. That kind of exposure. And I think. The internet, you're only really looking for what you want to look for. You're not
specifically.
You're not being immersed in other people's deals.
Yeah, and if you don't know it's there, you're not going to look for it or know it.
You might stumble across it, but I mean, it's a lot more one-dimensional way of being exposed to other things.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, Mike, listen, I want to thank you so much for
Not a
coming
problem, Pete.
and
Thanks for
hanging
having
out,
me.
and I appreciate it. And guys, listen, remember, it's Mr. Lovejoy. They do all kinds of stuff. They do different private parties. Again, if you're ever thinking of having a barbecue, hire these guys. They work as a duo. They work as a band. They do everything. These guys are that versatile. The band is great. Check them out. Okay. Thanks again for Encore Chat. I appreciate everybody listening and giving us, give us some feedback on what you guys think. I'd really appreciate it. And check us out on YouTube and all around. And thanks, guys. Really put an effort in to learn an instrument. It's so, so important. Thanks again for lending an ear. Thanks for stopping in to Encore Chat. I'm Pete Schmiedhauser that owns a small little store called Schmied's Music, 831 Route 10 East in the Pine Plaza Shopping Center in Whippany, New Jersey. Thanks, guys, and stay in touch to see more videos to come.